Hi everyone, Adrian Player here. In this video, we're going to be going over a client that I dealt with today. Now, this particular client was signed up to a commercial buyer's agency. They'd just fallen over on one transaction, and they were dealing with a resi broker that doesn't understand the commercial space. So this is what my client went through, and I'll just, you can see it on the screen. I've just done a LinkedIn post on it, and I'll just explain it, and I'll riff on it now without actually reading what's on the screen. Feel free to pause and you can read through it if you like. Okay, so this client is dealing with a resi broker, and all they're doing is flicking a referral through to CBA, a main tier lender. The lender gets the referral, right? And then the client sits there hoping that the commercial client does not ask too many questions, and then they just bump it off onto the commercial lender, and then they get paid for the transaction, when in reality they're overstating the position. And if they go ahead and they try and buy a 1.5 to a 1.7 mil commercial purchase, they're going to have a second failed transaction. So they got sent over to me, and this is what I went through. So I'll read out a little bit of it. So when the client was dealing with the other resi broker, they said it was a CBA transaction, right? And they said that the max was somewhere in the range of 1.5 to 1.7 mil. So I asked them standard questions, and I'll read it out on the screen. Did they send you notes? The client answered no. Did they send you the lender? I think it's CBA, but it was only done verbally. Did they explain lease doc and full doc and how it works? No. Do you know what interest coverage ratio is, ICR? If they were dealing with a competent commercial broker and they've had multiple meetings with them, they should understand these basic comments. The answer was no. And then did they explain why you're a lease doc client versus a full doc client and how it works compared to full doc? The answer was no. So then I talked about his position, and then I found out that he was starting a company 2 to 3 months ago, and also he was buying with his son, which opens you up to 2 full positions of, income, liabilities and expenses, and his company was only short-lived. So it's a prime example of a deal that needs to go down the lease stock route, and we needed to explain why, so we had an understanding of that. So the client was explained, and he understood. He knew that he needed to go to lease stock. He didn't get explained why. All right, next one. Did they explain how many lenders in the resi versus the commercial space and the differences? The answer was no. Did they explain the products you get, like redraw and offset on lease stock at different commercial lenders? Because some do supply them, some don't. The answer was no. Did they give you an easy example and go through the calculations with you on the phone? The answer was no. All right, so this is a client that got sent to a commercial BA. All of this should be done. It should be documented. And then obviously, if you look at the bottom, we send the notes. We send you a process map on how to do a lease doc and a full doc. So it gives you a step-by-step. We send you the ICR calcs. I give you an example of that as well. And we write it out for the buyer's agent and the client, so everyone is on the same page. All right, these are the crazy examples that I deal with every day of the week. And in reality, the resi broker doesn't want to leave the client and send them to someone that's competent in the space. So they hope that by sending it through to one lender and the lender dealing with all the work, they hope that you don't ask them enough questions, or you don't have too many problems. So then they can just sit back in the background and get paid. We see this time and time again. All right, so this client actually does not go through to the majors. Why? Well, I explained that 3 rate increases ago, these lease stock loans were getting done in the majors. Now, after 3 rate increases, you're actually looking at probably in the realm of a 50 to 55% LVR, not accounting for 5 to 7% of costs, right? And also, you've got to understand, what is the client purchasing? What is their target range? They're not going for speculative purchases or rental yields higher than 7% rental yield in regional markets, mining markets, or high risk space like office space, right? So if they can't get a yield of over 7%, this loan can't get done in a major, and they can't get close to 1.5 to 1.7 mil, right? So I think what essentially happened was this resi broker was not accounting for 5 to 7% of deposit and costs. All right, so when you account for a 35% deposit and then you put 5 to 7% worth of costs on top, and then you account for the fact that they're not even understanding what the ICR is at a major versus second tier bank, that's how we get to these kind of figures. So in the end, the client's maximum purchase range was somewhere around 1.42, and their comfortable range was somewhere around 1.3, 1.35. All right, so that means that if they come to me with a deal of maybe 5.5% rental yield to maybe 5.7, we still might be able to get that done in the comfortable range, maybe a 1.3 or a 1.35 mil purchase. But if they go to the top end of their range at 1.42, then we're in a situation where they're having to get something closer to the 6% net yield mark, even for a second tier bank with a better ICR, to juice up the borrowing power to get the deal done. All right, so these are some of the things that we see. We're always having to clean up other deals from resi brokers that are playing in a space that they do not understand. I've been there, I've done that, I've got the receipts. All right, we've got 1,400 investors on our books. We've got about that many. I bought a resi investment portfolio of 9 properties. I've used structures myself, and I've bought commercial myself. So has a lot of my clients. So we've got clients doing that. I'll give you examples of that. I've done it myself. I'll give you examples of that. And we've got clients doing this every day of the week. We do probably in the realm of 5, 10 or 15 pricing requests a month, so I know where the sharp pricing is, where deals need to be placed, and you need to be dealing. This is the value that a broker that can do the complex resi side on the investment side and the complex commercial side, all right? So hopefully this is a bit of food for thought, and these are the things that we deal with daily. We'll see you on the next video.